And we're live.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
How's everyone doing? Welcome. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I see Chad. I see Arthur. Garrett, I think a couple of your fans are in there as well.
I believe so.
Who do we got?
We got I saw Lamar and shoot, you caught me off guard. I was just fixing some stuff here. It's a lot of work going live on multiple platforms and all that. So sometimes it's tough to sort of keep everything.
Yeah, I've got the LinkedIn Live on my phone. I think I'm about to pull up the YouTube one on my laptop or my desktop behind me.
I got John as well, and then on Twitch there's Lewis, and I also told a few other people in the 100 community that I've kept in touch with and whatnot.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to everybody who's watching. This is the second of the Shift event. Today's topic is the evolving role of AI in 3D content generation. My name is Aron. I'm the founder of Shift Reality. We do marketing automation for emerging technology founders. I'm also an event coordinator at Shift Events, the sponsor of this stream. Sunny Sue's the founder of Dare to Shift. It's a community of entrepreneurs, investors, and founders that meet both in person in the Triangle area, North Carolina here, and then also online. We do once, sometimes twice weekly live streams where we bring on different guests and talk about new technologies, trends in the startup world, and also just offer support to each other in the community. Joined here today by Garrett, a good friend of mine. Garrett, an HD 4884, another good friend. I'll let you both introduce yourselves.
Do you want to go first, or
no? You can go.
Okay.
You can go first.
So my name's Garrett. I've been working in Metaverse-related technologies for about, officially for 2 years, but unofficially for probably about 4 or 5. Been building a Scalene Metaverse marketplace, which is a public marketplace where anybody can take their 3D assets and turn them into digital assets on the blockchain and be able to sell them in a no-code way. So I'm really excited about that. And there's some new things that we're working on as well. Oh, I see Lewis on Twitch. He's sending us rocket ships. That's awesome. But I'll hand it off to HD as well.
Hey everybody. I go by HD 4884. I am a producer, Unreal Engine developer, Blender user, and sound designer. Been doing this project for going on 4 years now, almost about 4 years. I've been signed to Deadmok, Base Rush, and Insomniac Records. I have a couple releases out already. One of my main focus right now is building the community that I started on Discord called Control Database Research. And what we do, we basically we gather creatives together to basically work through and problem solve any concepts and creative ideas that you get stuck on. So basically, it's a platform of just going in there and looking through all the channels of learning Unreal, Blender, Ableton Live, and even AI. And just recently, I developed this whole platform of Control Studio, which you're looking at right now. It's a virtual space that I'm basically running in real time with motion capture. I'll give you a little demo of like how my studio looks in here. And
I'll slow it down a bit.
Oh, sorry.
Man, I gotta say that's really sweet.
Yeah,
like just the whole like 3D environment, and you got multiple cameras that you can just jump between. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and then
that's cool.
It even cycles through it like on its own. Like right now, it has a.
Did you do that background? That's really sick.
Yeah. So, and then what's cool about this is that in real time, my computer is working. It's attached to my laptop. So
I just noticed there's a QR code on the back of your head. That's awesome.
Easter egg.
What does that go to? Hold on.
I don't know.
Slow it down. Yeah, he's not ready to share that.
Stand still.
So, but yeah, that's basically what I've been working on, and yeah.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, I just want to say, like, you're really pushing the bounds of emerging tech, and we were chatting a bit before the live stream, and I'm just really impressed by what you're up to, and that you're trying to bring this to the public. Like, I've seen things like Code Miko and things like that, and she does kind of go through like what she does, and in terms of like the motion capture and whatnot, but she doesn't like necessarily like hold people's hand to like get them to be able to do this themselves. And it sounds like that's kind of like what you're doing is trying to bring this to the public, bring it to the masses.
Yes, 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 exactly. I welcome it. I welcome the opportunity to create an alliance and a community versus being more of an elitist. I don't wish to be that. I wish to really. There's one of the things that me growing up in the music industry, it was really gatekeep, and I think everybody who doesn't have access to this should have access to this since it's free and open source.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if you're running on a potato computer, I think there's still opportunity for anybody to learn and to embrace it. I mean, and ask questions. I think anybody who's doing this, like myself or any of these metaverse avatar creators, they should be open to the public of answering questions of from curiosity. Obviously there's a lot of individuals out there that just like bombard you with questions, and it's kind of overwhelming, but I think there should be like some kind of invitation of being open and communicate to the public if you're putting it out there, to me
I
a
think
person.
one of my biggest questions for it was like, what equipment do I need to get started? Like, and like I asked the question probably like 3 years ago, and like there was just like no resources. Nobody out there was sort of like saying like, oh, well, you just get this, and this sort of thing, and like download the software or whatever. There was like none of that. So like the fact that you're like pioneering this is really impressive, and I'm definitely here for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Garrett, I don't know if I ever explained how HD and I connected, but we were actually working on a project together uh, late last year with a company called Mosh Pit Studios
Okay.
that does virtual concert production using Unreal Engine, and they've built this platform that, in a similar way, it democratizes 3D content creation, and kind of puts the ability to create really lifelike, immersive virtual experiences into the hands of independent creators. And HD and I were working on a proposal together, which um, we basically ran a Web3 marketing campaign with a digital twin merchandise component. So we were planning to sponsor a few different electronic artists on tour and have them promote physical merchandise, and each piece of physical merchandise would have an on-chain digital twin, a 3D model that you could equip,
Hmm.
on an avatar or avatars across, several different platforms.
Nice.
Yes.
Um,
That
and
sounds
this is,
awesome.
yeah, it's something we were working on at the time with Mad World, which is a subsidiary of Animoca Brands.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they're really big on doing mashups with creators and like really big name IP, um,
Mhm.
putting it all on chain to kind of build the Web3 ecosystem. So yeah, he and
Sounds
I connected at the time, and he was just starting this evolution of the HD project at the time. So I've kind of watched it grow into what it is now, and it's just incredible. It's been really, I've been really lucky to see kind of like the birth of HD.
nice.
Actually, it's 1 year. It's October 2nd is when I started.
Is it?
And
Oh wow, man, time
2023.
flies.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's great about it is like, you see it, in the first iteration, and then you see, what it is today, and you can only imagine like where it's going to go from here, right? Like,
Hmm.
continuing the development and continuing to hone it in. 5 years from now, this could be like insane. Like,
Yeah.
I think.
the main goal of this application or even getting it to that point is you could literally just download it off of your phone. Like
I
that's
love that.
and right now everything's wireless. Like I have my PC, my iPhone, and my Mac, and the Mac is just streaming off of wireless into the PC to be able to get the HDMI output. So it's yeah, I being a musician, coming from a musician background, I got sick and tired of cables. Playing guitar is like too many cables. When I found wireless system, I was like, I loved it. Even wireless MIDI. There's like wireless MIDI now. But yeah, this is I just can't wait. I just can't wait. And especially Unreal is just like accelerating crazy, and it's being more open and more accepted to everybody. So I'm really excited about the future of that.
Hmm. No,
It's
definitely.
they're adding all of these. I mean, to the point of like, the topic, AI procedural content generation, right, was just
Hmm.
added in the latest release, and these kinds of tools I feel like are making it so much easier for the newbies to get on board and to start, building. I'm
Hmm.
curious, like HD, from your experience working with Unreal, and maybe Garrett, yours as well. Like, how do you see these kinds of like developments and AI, making it or lowering the barriers to entry
Well, I
for
think
game development?
we saw that briefly with Mark Zuckerberg's interview that he had with Lex Friedman
Hmm.
just this last week. And like obviously he has a whole bunch of tech and expensive tech. I think it's like $4,000 for his headset or something like that, and it has like a 3 or 4 hour battery life or something. But
Right.
essentially what they're doing is trying to take these avatars and be able to make them like fully dynamic. But what HD is doing is being able to sort of do it with a lot less tech and a lot less sort of overhead cost. So taking away that overhead cost, it opens this up to the masses. And not to say that your phone camera is as good as 14 cameras or however many it is on their headset that they got going there. But the AI that's involved could actually probably utilize a few cameras rather than so many, and actually be able to do just as good of quality over time. So like as the technology advances and as things move forward, we're going to notice that we can do more with less. And being able to take these 3D assets and bring them into marketplaces, like with what we have with Scalene. I think HD and I were talking about that a bit before the stream. Like if you're creating 3D avatars that have this capacity, you could actually essentially productize that, and then people could essentially like shop for that and then just be able to like plug it into these apps. So being able to sort of bring it from like a big purchase to just like what you already have, and then be able to grab like a 20, 30, $40 avatar from a marketplace and just like pop it in, sort of thing. Yeah, this could be really big. Really excited for it.
Yeah, actually interested to see how AI impacts kind of like IP ownership for these kinds of things. Like, if I'm using a procedurally generated avatar, right? Um, and I'm a creator and I wanna monetize that, but the IP, does it technically belong to me, or does it belong to the person who engineered that
Well, well,
system?
initially, if you develop and program your own core library for the AI, because that's actually what I'm doing right now currently with one of my AI assistant X1. I have her going through my whole entire core library of my music samples, and she's creating different melodies and concepts and stuff and whatnot, just by base of communication and talking with her, by asking her to grab samples from different folders and combining them together, and uh, that's 100% mine. Like I created all that,
Mhm.
all the stuff that she's using from scratch is from me, and that's something that. But if you're like if you're like doing like what was the uh LLM that was using, I think it's called Kitchen AI Kit. I forgot. Let me look real
There's
quick.
so many these days.
I know.
It's massive. Yeah.
Google launched a I want to call it kitchen sink.
I
Give
think
me-
it
Oh,
is.
a test kitchen.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Kitchen.
yeah.
yeah, and they're using I forgot what models they're using, but I know it's like from Google or something like that.
Generally, test kitchen is like if you're developing something really big and you need to just like have an environment that you can like throw things together or whatever, they generally call it a test kitchen. But it's kind of like an overall like overarching term. Like when I was working at Earthcast, this was like a satellite imaging company.
Mhm.
We had a test kitchen essentially for like interpreting that data and utilizing that. Um, it's kind of a catch-all term. But they probably made it their GitHub repository name.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty common. It happens.
Yeah.
I think we did the same thing.
So is it? Yeah. So I see they have like a music LLM that you can essentially give it. What does it say? I think like natural
Prompts.
language input. Yeah, prompts, and it
Yeah.
generates music. Is it
It's
music or is it
yeah,
samples or yeah?
yeah. I actually when I saw that I took the concept from it. And I was like, well, what if I had my own core library for it? And I've been doing music for 22 years now.
Damn.
So
Respect.
I have a lot. I have a large catalog, and
Mhm.
not only that, I've always saved the stems and the samples that I created. I did Foley for Warner Brothers for a little bit, so I have all that stuff that I've done and learned in the past. So um, maybe you have to scrub that audio from me saying that. But
Cut to X1.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Damn.
but
A little
yeah.
sneak
Can we
peek
meet
there.
her?
Hey X1, can you introduce yourself to Garrett and Aron? See if she's working. Oh, let me go over here.
Got to load it up.
Yeah. X1, can you introduce yourself?
Oh.
She working? She's mad. There.
Oh, there it goes.
We can't hear.
It might be desktop audio.
Oh, that's why.
Mm. Oh, you can't hear her.
No, unfortunately, but oh, I can hear it a bit.
Oh, here.
It's just slow.
Comprehensive insights and analytics to empower users in their endeavors. I am
Wow.
also connected to the central tree of life, which provides me with access to the collective wisdom of our ancestors.
Yeah. So she's on one. She's good.
So X1 is HT's. It's your personal assistant, or
Yeah.
your. How would you describe X1?
So X1 to me is audio and visual. No, actually, audio and knowledge assistant. So the way how I break it down is, I utilize her as far as when it comes to communication with my Mac. Right, right now I have the Mac communicating with the PC and then the iPhone. So when I want to work on stuff for music, and I use it during the live session, the streams that I do on sorry, I was away from the mic. That I do like on Tuesdays. I communicate with her of like, oh, can you play the track, stop the track, move it to measure 45, delete, copy, paste, and it's vocally like a vocal command. And then now I've been working on having her mash up melodies of like, oh, can you take I don't know, we'll just like as a joke, uh, happy birthday melody and mix it with with uh, Amadeus Mozart. I don't know, like movement from blah 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 blah, and she'll ask like, oh, which instrument and which category do you want me to take from? And I go, well, I want the oboes and the strings, and I want you to only use notes in the key of like C sharp minor, and what's it called? And use only a maximum of 30 notes or whatnot. And she'll repeat back the melody. And I say, okay, print. And what she'll do is she'll send a MIDI clip to Ableton. So it's not as easy for the average person who doesn't know music theory to use it. But again, it was designed for me, right? And just just to have fun with like communicating with somebody that actually understands if I come with some crazy ideas and concepts. So it's
I
just
think as entrepreneurs, it's so easy to feel like, especially when you're in the early days and you don't have like a ton of resources and stuff like that, you'll have these questions and you'll be like, man, I really wish I could just like ask somebody these questions, but like they're so out there, right? That like somebody would have to be working with you for like 2 months beforehand to like, and like know you personally to even understand like what you're talking about. And having AI is actually like a superpower on almost for us entrepreneurs. So like, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. And it's funny. I've always wanted to have a computer. I mean, everybody will say this reference, but like 2001: A Space Odyssey, obviously HAL. But me personally, I would have loved a computer like or an AI assistant that was like in like a replica of Jeff Goldblum's computer from The Fly, right? So like he was just inputting all that stuff, and it was like, I mean, he didn't the computer didn't communicate or anything, but it was like the response time and how it was just so proper in the language and whatnot, and that's kind of how I designed her.
I think that's how people imagine computers would be before they had experience of computers at like a high level. So like they were making these videos and stuff like that, and they were kind of like, what is it going to do? Well, it's going to respond in a human way. And then over time we understood more about computers and realized that wasn't the case.
Yeah, well, it's kind of crazy now that how, I mean, AI is being utilized in so many different ways, but just even now, I kind of like I look at like some of this stuff that I find it. I mean, it's amusing, but it's like, I don't know, like deep fakes and other stuff that's inappropriate to speak about that's being utilized for that. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, right? It's kind of. But I could just imagine people from like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, like what? That's what you're using the computer for? The AI for? Like, we're over here struggling, trying to power this thing. It's filling up like a hangar, and then now it's like
and you're using it to play Pong or worse.
Or worse.
Yeah, or worse.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna jump in with that.
Yeah, I just don't understand how like society became a thing of content. Like, I love content, but at the same time too, it's like, what happened?
It's just like so oversaturated. I mean, it's become so competitive, and it's just like a race to nothingness.
Yeah,
essentially.
That's so funny because in 2011, that was my question. I was like, man, like I was looking at Facebook, I was looking at YouTube, I was looking at all these different content platforms, and I was like, man, like I came from 1999 when everybody was full of hopes and dreams for the internet and hopes and dreams for technology, and I was only like 12 years old at the time, but like everybody was doing these like really interesting things, and then all of a sudden it becomes this like corporate content platform system. And I was like online, and I was like, man, is this seriously like what the internet's going to be? Like, this is kind of crappy. Like, there's got to be something else, right? And I was just googling random stuff, and like looking for what that next interesting thing was, and I stumbled across Bitcoin Talk, and that's how I found Bitcoin actually. And like nobody referred me, nobody told me about it, nothing like that. I was number 25,000 on Bitcoin Talk, and started mining and doing all the things. And I'm like, this is what I was looking for. Like, I was looking for something new. I was looking for something interesting. And that led me down a huge rabbit hole that has never really ended. But, I feel like when you feel dissatisfied about the internet and when you feel like this is all there is, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't just accept that. Like, you need to actually say, like, the future is what we build, and the future is what we're able to create together. And pushing outside of those boundaries, because discontent is totally valid, especially in tech. So don't feel weird for being dissatisfied.
Yeah, and well, also too, it's so funny. I was just talking about this with a close friend of mine. I was mentioning how a lot of us are overstimulated to the point that we're not bored to have creativity. You know, like we're always constantly digesting information, and we're never given the opportunity to like just be bored out of our mind and come up with the most craziest idea and then put it into play. And that's what's and well, this whole essence of the HD project actually stemmed from a health issue of mine, you know, that occurred a year ago. And I was like, you know, if I'm not gonna last that long, if anything was to happen, I would like people to remember me by, or have somewhat a platform of of uh, of an iteration of like of what I'm doing right now that could be programmed or occupied by AI eventually, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and and but that was because I was isolated in a hospital with no, just like a TV that had like 5 6 channels, and I wasn't even on my phone half the time, just being isolated and thinking like, well, this
I've
is
heard of multiple entrepreneurs finding their eureka moment related to a hospital because they're just bored out of their minds. So I think
yeah,
you're definitely right there. I actually grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. So like I was bored like my whole childhood. And then all of a sudden my parents bought a computer and we
wow,
got internet, and I was like living out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like making an FTP server to, you know, send music files to my buddy who lives like 20 kilometers up the road. So like things like that, that kind
that's
of push
amazing.
you. Yeah, I was only like 12 years old, and I had my own IRC server and my own FTP server, and I was like doing like web design, like early web design with like Dreamweaver and stuff like that. This was way back in like
Oh
2000.
yeah,
Wow, who are you?
And
I've heard of Dreamweaver.
yeah, I know, right? It's from way back. Like I'm not necessarily young, I guess. I'm kind of showing my age, but like in high school, like this was when like CD writers came out for the first time, and like
Yeah,
people would come up to me, they'd be like, "Here's $10 and a CD. I want you to put these songs on it." And if I liked them, I'd do exactly what they asked me, and if I wasn't super fond of them, I'd throw a few extra songs at the end just to fuck with them.
that's
Sorry,
funny.
sorry, LinkedIn. I know I'm not supposed to say that. My bad. Twitch is fine with it, but LinkedIn less so. I'll watch my language.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm
I don't recommend this.
No, we need a parental advisory on the stream. Big banner.
so I'm wondering now, like with everybody essentially burning out on content consumption, you know, and all of the creators as well, like starting to leverage AI to like generate content, you know, eventually we're gonna have more digital twins that are kind of running autonomously,
hmm
you know, producing content for the creators. And I feel like at some point it's just going to become so hyper saturated with like AI generated content, um, that the engagement from like real people is going to drop off.
Oh, well, we'll
Um,
have AIs to do the engagement.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that
Exactly.
it'll
would
be
free us up, right, to do
yeah.
more creative things. So we've basically just created this own little world, and we're just going to push it to the side so that we can have the freedom to actually create while the AIs do the automated creation.
I think at some point the dream was to have humans like on the beaches drinking mai tais or whatever, but I
Yeah.
don't think we're heading that way,
No.
unfortunately.
No, we're not. We're actually spending more
Heading
time inside in the on the computer trying to.
deeper into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I
We're
know
going to be in
spending
pods.
spending 12 hours trying to program in Unreal, and then all of a sudden you're doom scrolling on TikTok. It's like, you know, or doom scrolling on YouTube looking for tutorials of how to
Yeah.
what's the latest. That's my life right now. I'm just going through. Actually, I've gotten so bad where I have over 100 or 100, no, 160 playlists all broken down in different formats of like materials, cameras, avatars, metahumans, blah 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 blah, and playlists on YouTube, and also too, I watch all these tutorials on I think 2 point or on a higher speed of
Oh yeah, yeah. I do
That's
that
how.
too.
Yeah, that's how I get through the tutorial.
Some people just talk so slow though. Like you put it on like 1.5, and you're like, "Okay, that's normal." Like,
Yeah, exactly. Or the intro.
even on my when I do like short form content,
Yeah.
even when I'm just like talking to somebody, I'll speed it up 10%. And like I already have like a bit of a high voice, so it goes a little bit higher. But like I feel like making sure that people that are watching the video are able to sort of like get the gist of it, like quick enough, sort of thing. Like if you don't do it, they will. So like you may as well just kick it up a notch and get them through it. So
Yeah.
I try to take people's time into consideration and not waste it. So
Well, one Blender user that I'm real big fan of, Ian Hubert. Have you heard of him?
Oh yeah.
Ian Hubert. He does these 1-minute tutorials, and when I first started in Blender, that's how I kind of learned and picked up.
okay, yeah, on Blender.
Yeah, and he talks so fast. He's like, "Yeah, go in here, da da da." But even in his Patreon, he talks fast. And he has great charisma and stuff like that. But on YouTube, it's 1 minute. This is how you make a buildings and da 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 da. And I'm like, wow, this is great. This is great. That's kind of like how I want to be on my Discord community, where I'm just like, okay, guys, I just uploaded 30 tutorials. They're all 1-minute tutorials. It's 30 minutes in total. This is how you produce a song. It's like, and simple tutorials that people don't really think about, like how to collect and save all, how to file your sessions, and how to organize them, or how do you build a song and song structure by a reference, and just do that in a minute, and really, and then but actually put all the detail in there and keep it under a minute, instead of be like, oh, here's a minute, but I left 40 minutes of whatever was supposed to be included on my Patreon.
It's like when I was burning the discs. You have all the good stuff, and then you got a bunch of crap at the end.
Exactly.
I didn't have the respect I have now back then, but that's also like 20 years ago. So
yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
what is a disc?
CD,
I'm
compact
joking.
disc,
I'm joking.
compact disc.
You mean the save button?
Is that
It's a step up from the laser disc.
Beta? Actually, it's funny enough. I have a laser disc of the Rocketeer. Funny enough,
Crazy.
it's in mint condition. Actually,
Nice.
Play it
right now.
I'll just take a moment to watch a whole episode. But yeah, just to sort of like tie things back a bit, like it's just crazy, man. Like I know we kind of touched on like how technology is kind of like, in a way like ruling our lives at the moment, because there's so much going on, and like we feel like we need to be part of this because like we've been involved with technology for so long. I know Aaron's been in it for super long. You were saying that you've been in it in music and related things for like 20 years. And I've obviously been around in tech for about 20 years now too. So like we're all like being here for a super long time, and now I think the general consensus is that we just want to like make our mark and like be able to sort of say like I did that, right? So like one of the things that I always appreciated is like when I first started using computers, there's things like Napster, and there's things like like LimeWire and all that, and it was all like public, and you could just like load things up on there. And obviously people use it for nefarious things, but people use it for legitimate things too. And like same with BitTorrent and all that. Obviously like there's a lot of things around piracy and stuff like that, and that'll never end. But making public platforms where anybody can participate has always been the way that the internet operates. And you're doing that with your 3D motion tracking and music related endeavor there, and I'm doing it with Scalene, is trying to make it public, make it so that anybody can use it. And I know Aaron's trying to support people like us. So it's really great to meet with you guys and be able to have this conversation and sort of like say like this is who we are and this is what we're doing. And I'm just super happy to meet you guys.
Oh, same here. Same.
I'm grateful for the wisdom. You guys are making me feel young.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how exhausted
you're the same age as we are.
I can't imagine how exhausted you must be. You ever feel like like that, like technology is just kind of running its course and we're like constantly playing catch up, and it's like almost impossible? No.
No, I don't feel that way at all. I
No,
feel
me
like,
either.
when Mark Zuckerberg released that interview with Lex Friedman, I was just like, let's go. Like that is like, sure, like technically I'm in competition with that, but like at the same time, like he's open sourcing it, and like he's doing all sorts of things, and he's pushing the envelope, and like that is my envelope too. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I'm being left behind. I feel like I'm being supported. And like if anything, it's like validation, right? Like I think we were talking about that before the stream a bit, is that like, everybody who thinks that competition is like a bad thing is like kind of living on ego, right? Like they're kind of like worried about like their self-image and like their self, interest and stuff like that. And I feel like as soon as you flip the boundaries on that and you say like, when somebody else does something, that's good for me too, and that helps the whole industry. So like, yeah, I think that we really need to focus on, what we're doing, but also, appreciate what other people are doing. Like there would be people out there who are working in the metaverse who would meet HD and be like, oh, he's competition, I don't want to talk to him. But I'm like, man, like I want to, like, it's so interesting, and like just learning and discussing is so valuable. So I'm really thankful to be here.
What do they say? A rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
exactly.
And if you're not willing to sort of like appreciate that, maybe you got your anchor in the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of this Mark Zuckerberg thing, because we brought it up a couple times, I'm gonna share my screen so people in the audience know what we're talking about in case they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually had it up because I knew it was gonna come up today. It's actually a post from a gentleman named Nolan Ether. He works for WebEx, or whatever WebEx is now called, Cisco, but he's local to my area. He has some really great content.
Awesome. Yeah, it's the codec avatar is what they're on about right now. It's basically like an AI facial tracking and like 3D, like dynamic 3D. It just totally blows my mind. But that's what you get when you have multiple millions of dollars to throw at something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny that you say that, because when I was getting into doing the motion capture for the avatar with just an iPhone, I was like, you have to think about how many years was the iPhone developed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're talking about like what it's going on 20 years now, right?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got my first iPhone. It was the iPhone 3G or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in like 2008, something like that. So 15 years.
15 years. So I look at it as like I spend $1,200 on a phone that's been had so many iterations in the past 15 years, that I look to that as like a good tool,
Mm-hmm.
'cause and that's how I look at it, and be like, well, I need to utilize it on this process, because it's not going anywhere. And that's why when I heard about the headset and doing all the cameras and tracking and whatnot, I'm like, well, why can't I do it with a phone that's been around for 15 years that I
Mm-hmm.
spent $1,200 on?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? It's like it drives me crazy, because sometimes people don't recognize that.
And
I'm
they
like,
use it for texting.
yeah,
Yeah.
they use it for texting. They use
And
it
doom
for
scrolling.
doom scrolling and whatnot. And I was like, wow. I mean, when ChatGPT is funny enough, when ChatGPT was popping off, like when it just got, I think, what was it, back in October or November?
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
exactly. Well, it was funny enough, because I was like, it would be interesting if I could just talk to this thing instead of type everything in, and I develop an extension to do that, right? To be able to use my mic and do that. And it's funny enough, a year later, they have they have the speech to text, like real time, like community. I'm just like, I've been working on that. It's like,
Man,
and
go
go ahead. No,
I
go ahead.
gotta ask, when you're using X1, do you have to like hit a button, or is it just like always listening to you?
Well, so I disconnect her. I'm able to turn her on and off, but I could have her actively listening. But
We gotta talk.
Yeah.
We got to talk because
Yeah.
I have an application for this that could be really big, and fairly easy to do as well. But
Well, you could even hook up active words. Like if I say a sentence and stuff, like she'll turn on and
awesome.
off. Yeah, but yeah, and everything I did it all in blueprints on Unreal. So
Okay, crazy.
yeah, and it's routed to API
Nice.
key. Yeah, so but yeah,
Yeah, we
we got to
definitely
chat.
got to chat.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately it's not related to Scalene, but it's definitely an interesting thing that I've been sort of mulling over for a while, and I think you'd be the perfect person to sort of pick your brain about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
He's got a lot of brain to pick.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
not as much time,
I think
but
he outsources his brain to AI.
yeah. Just talk. You can talk to my assistant. That's what you
Yeah.
should say. Talk to my assistant.
Have you guys, let me ask you guys, have you ever felt like you think so much that you get tired, like you don't want to do anything, you just like lay down on the bed and you just, or the couch or whatever, and you're just staring at the ceiling and you're like it's
I've definitely thought so much that I've like been tired of being me for a bit. Been like,
Right.
My brain is like so tired that like, yeah, just people say that like your brain eats like 30% of your calories or something like that just through like neurons firing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely a thing that people don't really think about. And the other crazy thing about it too is that the more that you actively are thinking, along those lines, the better you get at it. So yeah, sometimes like I do my live streams, like I do these podcasts, but then I also do like gaming streams sometimes, and it's kind of nice to be able to like not be at that super high level of thought and just sort of like enjoy the conversation and sort of like play a more like passive game. Like I play like Path of Exile, which is just like super
awesome.
it's a fun game. Still there's a lot to it obviously, but at the same time like it's sort of just like on in the background and I'm just like cruising through it and then people are like chatting with me and stuff like that. And the reason I do that is because like Scalene is like a metaverse platform for like designers and gamers and things like that. And like, originally I was like, I probably shouldn't game on like my professional stream, but then I was like, like I'm probably going to meet gamers who are interested in the stuff that I'm building. So like it makes sense to build my community there.
No, that's great. It's funny, and also you mentioned I was in a real pickle recently of whether or not I should make a personal LinkedIn account or this HD account, which LinkedIn doesn't allow you to use you know uh, anonymous name or whatever, you're a different name, whatever nickname or whatnot. But
just change your name to HD4884 and then you got it on your license and you can prove to them.
well, I have a DBA under it. That's what I'm saying. I have a DBA. Yeah, but they, well, it's funny enough. I have it under HD, and I put up my stuff on it, and literally like in a week, people were just hitting me up, bombarding me, and just like, oh, what do you do? This is that. And I said, well, I'm a prime example of what you need. If you need any of this is what I do, which was nice. And it was kind of a smart move. And then, but yeah, next month, not this month, in November, December, I'm gonna officially like launch like my full resume and stuff that I've done, and just go full force on it, which I'm really excited about. And start taking some bigger gigs. Just I'm totally down for big opportunities as far as like corporate gigs or whatnot. But like I really like and enjoy the startups and like brainstorming with really intelligent and people that are doing something innovative instead of like the rinse repeat thing. Oh, how can we make money off of this? How can we make money off of this? How can we make money off of this? I'm like, don't you have enough money?
Yeah. What happened to the money you made last week?
Exactly.
I spent it trying to make more money.
It was good. It was good. It was good, but we needed more. We need more of that. Yeah. So
I think it's good to have like your cash cow like businesses, but then also have like your innovative businesses. And a lot of things that like especially like large corporations and stuff like that don't think about as much is like how they're allocating to research and development, even when times are a little bit hard. Like especially these days, like I feel like there's a lot of companies that are actually cutting research and development, which I don't think it's kind of like, putting the blinders on and saying I'm only going to look 10 steps ahead of me sort of thing. And you could be walking towards like a cliff or whatever.
Yeah,
When,
exactly.
there's like a perfectly good trail, just off to the left or whatever. And you could be, following that instead. And then there's companies that are pumping up their research and development, like what Meta's doing and stuff like that. So I think it's good to sort of like, focus on the companies that are doing things that resonate with you, and just ignore the noise and the people that are being like overly pessimistic about it. Because there's a lot of people out there that are saying like, oh, well, Web3 founders aren't doing what I want them to do, and that makes me mad and stuff like that. And it's like, well, like, whatever, man. Like, we're here, we're working on our own dime a lot of the time. We're
Exactly.
developing what we want to develop, and developing for the people that we want to develop for as well, right? So like, I think that, if we just left it up to the corporations to decide what the future was, we'd be doing ourselves a disservice, because they would basically enslave us. They'd become so large, like mega giga corporations, that we like can't possibly like get out from under. So that's kind of the fear that I have, is that like, if I quit, what future is my son going to have, and what future his kid's going to have, and like so forth. So like, I feel like, people like me need to, and you and Aaron as well, need to keep going, even if things are hard, because we need to, create these sort of like democratized opportunities and these open opportunities for people, so that they can do what they want to do in the future, and do it easily and do it affordably.
Well
Wow.
said. Yeah,
It
is hard.
I need it. Look, man, I needed to hear that. I appreciate you saying that. Sincerely, you can't see my eyes watery because it's a freaking avatar, but
Yeah.
that was well
Zoom
said,
in.
man.
You can make an avatar cry.
Whoa, I'm gonna work on that.
Nice. Yeah,
I gotta work on that. Give emotions and stuff. Like,
that'd be sweet.
well, then that means I would have to activate a. Well, you could cheat it. You could do animation.
Oh yeah,
Animation
yeah.
with Niagara. Just blasting super
Particles.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
I think just a single tear just rolling down the face would be perfect.
I know.
Glistening, sparkling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it evaporates, and it's like a Pokemon like Team Rocket, like ding when they get blasted.
I love it.
Yeah.
So in the last 7 minutes, I wanted to talk a little bit about evolutions in AI powered rendering, nerfs, neural radiance fields, and
G-Splat.
also G-Splat is a hot topic. Let's just call it GS.
Yeah,
Garrett
I
and
can't
a
handle
little
the name.
about that.
I know.
It's because my name is Garrett, so everybody calls me G, right? Like when I was growing up and stuff like that, everyone called me G. So like I had every iteration of that, like G money and G whatever and G this and G that. So when I hear G Splat, I'm just like, no, please no. Yeah. And I got totally caught off guard on it from my last live stream. But, the technology is really interesting, and it's a name that'll definitely stick with you. So, but I'm actually more interested in nerfs actually at the moment. Like after looking into it, like the Gaussian splatting is interesting for like large scenes and stuff like that, which is, important and useful. But in terms of like what I'm doing with the marketplace and stuff like that, I think that nerfs is probably closer to what I'm. Yeah, it's probably going to be like some bread and butter there. Do you have experience in that, HD?
Yeah, I've been working with nerfs with actually when did like back in November, right?
Yeah.
Aaron?
I mean, it was last year.
It was last year, yeah.
Last year, yeah.
So I the cats from Epic and Nerf Studio and a couple universities, I was communicating and talking with them, and I was talking about like volumetric capture of being able to do in real time, and they were like, well, we're working on this thing, radiant fields and whatnot. And what I really dig about it is the fact that you could I use after I was working with these guys from is it North Carolina or South Carolina? I don't remember. I'm like blanking out right now. But uh, they actually gave a lot of the research papers to Luma AI, and they adopted that and basically took it over, and they're doing so much good stuff with that. And it's getting to the point where it's like you just need to use your phone and that's it. Like,
Hmm.
and it's done. I think the importing process for Unreal or in Blender is kind of like, mm, I think it should be more. What's the word? Um,
Streamline, maybe.
yeah, streamlined.
Yeah.
You know, instead of trying to install pre-packaged plugins and stuff, it should be available on. I think it is right now on 5.3. I'm not too sure, or maybe on
Could
5.
probably make a plugin for it where like you'd be able to load up the plugin and then take your pictures and then export it to a GLB that would load into your scene or whatever.
Yeah, GL. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now I think it's only on the browser, and then you get to download it, and then you get to import it, which is not a lot of work. I mean, but
Yeah.
it should be more streamlined. Actually, they should have the browser inside of Unreal, right? Like,
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, because
Yeah.
because
Have like
what's
an integrated browser that has
yeah,
like a connection to importing. But I think a lot of the developers and stuff like that probably don't want to get into that stuff. They'd rather you just like struggle and import
yeah.
manually.
Well, they probably have the iteration that you could do that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I
So
mean,
from
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from what I understand, you still have to kind of like take a bunch of photos, right? When you're using Luma, you have to like, move around the object, take photos, or
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, because like even without LiDAR, or sorry, even with LiDAR, it still requires you to like photograph from different angles and then, fill in the gaps kind of thing.
It needs
Yes.
it needs distance data. Like it needs to
Yeah.
kind of know like where it's not just the image that you're loading in, it's also like where the phone was when you took that image.
Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why some of them use lidar and some of them don't, is that i think I think that what happens is when you don't use lidar and it's like a very simple object that you're taking, it'll kind of imagine where the camera was. But
Mm.
when you do use it, it knows exactly where the camera was, and it can actually like measure the rays. And I think that's what Nerfs is mostly about. But it also depends on like what phone you're using and things like that when you get into that. Like there's AR Core on Android, but because Androids are like so many different devices, so many different suppliers and all that, each one kind of still uses it a little bit differently. Whereas like with iPhone, it's like every iPhone is exactly the same and it's always iPhone. And the pros have lidar and the non-pros don't, sort of thing. So it's kind of a whole like phone wars sort of situation. And I think that it's kind of actually holding us back. But that's just the way it goes. I think that if anything, actually we do need like standardization in this, because without it, it kind of makes things harder. So hopefully that comes eventually, especially for Android.
Hmm. So, well, it's funny. Recently, and I can't show it right now on. I have it. I actually have it on a private playlist, and I'll send you the link. But what I did, I was actually doing a job for somebody. They wanted me to do a model or a nerf of a volcano,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and they didn't have the assets. The assets were corrupted. The files were corrupted, and so I just went on YouTube and I found a 10-year-old video and I imported that into Luma and it created a Nerf out of it. And it
That's
was
crazy.
yeah,
Was it
and
just like a drone video of it like
y-
flying around the
yeah,
volcano?
it was a drone
Mm.
video, and what I did, I edited it into sections of it, almost having a seamless like 360 around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I input it into Luma. It was only in 720, and I was able to get it looking really good. And
Crazy.
yeah, and Yeah, I do. Sometimes I do some things that are very questionable when it comes down to like doing stuff like that. But you know, you got to try it. You never know. You never know. It might benefit. And so what I've been doing. I've been building a whole entire playlist of just like drone shots of like city shots and like mountain ranges and oceans and stuff like that. Because I plan to see if I could make it out of any like make it into nerfs and stuff. But it looks like it works.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll send you guys the video, and then you can take a look. It's super quick. It's just me demoing what I did.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like just the fact that you can take like a video that was like not intended at all for like 3D scanning and just like set it up to make it into a 3D scan and be like, here's your volcano. Like that's just crazy. Like, and I think that's, you know, like what we're all about is that like we take ideas that you know, other people didn't see the value or the opportunity there, and we find ways to connect it with modern things or connect it in different ways. It's actually called what is it called now? Shoot, I can't remember. It's basically saying like you're gonna take two ideas or multiple ideas and connect them, and because of that connection between those two ideas, it becomes this new thing. And that's what I do a lot of is saying like, okay, well, you know, this exists and that exists, and if we put them together, it would, you know, transform things. And that's, you know, what I do with emerging technologies, and it's what I do in art, and it's something I enjoy doing.
I've learned to watch the intersects between multiple emerging technologies, because that is where like the most cutting edge, you know, innovative stuff happens on like a regular basis, right?
Well, you take drones and you take AI, right? You take NFTs and you take 3D models. You take, you know, like literally just like take two things that are hot right now, put them together, and it'll be even hotter. Like, yeah.
Blockchain and 3D. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm for that. That's what I'm all about. I thought you were gonna do something like off the wall there.
Oh no, I could go a lot farther than that. How about quantum computing and oh god.
Well, you got to take something more tangible.
Neural net.
And McFlurries.
I was waiting for it. I was actually gonna say like blockchain and hamburgers or something like that.
Yo, I was just thinking the other day, I miss the glizzy shake.
I just can't handle that word. I don't know what it is. Like I guess I turned a certain age. Yeah. Oh, the grimace.
I was like, the glizzy. I'm like, the glizzy shake.
I'm like, that's a hot dog, isn't it?
Have you guys seen that new trend, or I think it's an old trend, where they take the hot dog and the chicken bake from Costco and they put it together? Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's terrible. See, doom scrolling.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're taking two good ideas and making a bad one there.
It could go the other way.
It can go the other way, yeah.
Just wrap it with a pizza.
Well, there you go. Have you seen that Taco Town? Where they take a tortilla and make a taco, and then they like wrap it in a pizza, and then they like dip it in pancake batter and like deep fry it, and then it's served in like a tote bag full of chili.
Sounds
that's an old SNL skit. It's actually awesome because it's just making fun of like old marketing for taco companies and stuff like that. I know we're totally on a tangent here, but you know, I'm here for it. So.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's just make a nerf of it. There we go.
I'm for that.
Break the algorithm.
We'll put it on HD's shoulder. He can have his tote bag full of chili with the big like calzone taco pancake sticking out of it.
Oh, have an animation.
That's what the QR code is linking to. Just tying it back to the very beginning. This whole stream has been wrapped up into a neat little package.
I'm glad we came full circle.
We did. We made it there. But honestly, guys, it was so nice to meet with you guys,
Same.
and just like hear about your work and get to know you guys a bit better. Like I really like doing these like sort of like first meet. Like this is the first time I've met HD. Obviously, Aaron and I know each other from a previous stream, but our previous stream was the first time that we met too. So like, I feel like, us entrepreneur types, we can sort of get thrown into one of these situations and just make, these really interesting conversations and get to know each other's work and just forge these like relationships that'll probably never end. Like, I'm just super excited to be connected with you guys and hear about all of the awesome stuff that you're doing. So thank you so much for having me.
Same.
And keep building, eh?
Thank you, Garrett, and thank you, HD. This has been really, really great.
No problem.
I think one major takeaway is rising tide lifts all ships. So please keep doing what you're doing. It's for the betterment of not just yourselves, but for everybody in the space and beyond. So
Definitely.
Keep doing great work. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hoped we can do this again soon.
Oh, definitely. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peace.
Take care, guys.